Today's title, as you could tell, I got an interesting topic, man, because a lot of people who tune into my channel are ex-convicts, those that have done time. They're either children that had parents that did time, or mothers, or girlfriends, or so what, man. And there's a topic that never really gets touched on enough, and that is doing time and coming out and restoring and repairing those relationships with your family and kids. And I'm gonna emphasize more on kids because that's what I went through. Um, when living that life that leads you to prison and so forth, man, our activities and actions on the streets are not even solid as it is. Very few people can sit there and say that they lived a criminal life and they were a good parent at the same time. You know, I know I wasn't. At least on my end, that's my truth. That's my story. I did a lot of time. My first daughter was actually born and while I was in prison. The early years of her life, I was in prison and so forth. And the path I went down, led me to lead astray from being there in her life as well as her sister's life. I have two daughters. I'm proactive in my current son's life. But it really caused a lot of issues, man, with one of my daughters. And the relationship that I have has been very difficult to try to grow and try to move past things. Because as individuals, as just human nature, we want that instant gratification. What I mean by that is we want things to come the way we expect them to come. We expect to come home and our families are going to embrace us, our kids are going to love us, and everything is fine and dandy. That's not always the case. Children have emotions too. And so it's real important that you, as someone who's trying to bridge that gap with your kid, is to take delicate steps. Each kid is different and unique in their own ways. Some suppress their feelings, some are outpouring with their feelings, some are forgiving, and some are not. I have one daughter, very difficult for me to try to have any type of relationship or rapport with. And, there's no template. There's no blueprint for any of this, guys. These are just things for us just to discuss and dialogue and hopefully get some type of insight into certain things that have worked with other people as well as myself. The biggest thing you have to do with reestablishing these relationships is, it could even be your spouse, your girlfriend as well, is to let them express their feelings, and it's up to you to try to make amends to them, not them to you. They don't have to reach out to you. You hurt them. And see, that's the story sometimes that comes along with too many people, is that we expect them to come with every problem, every issue and put it on our table and we're going to fix it that day. No, it's not going to happen that way. You got to slowly take steps to bridge that gap and regain that trust. Especially if you've fallen into the recidivism of going in and out and your kids get used to you not being there. Maybe your baby mama has another man that's been more influential as a father than you have. And it hurts, So you never know what your actions, what they're going to impact other people and how they feel. You know what I'm saying? So in bridging that gap, you just got to take it one step at a time. And you can't get too emotional. You can't get too upset. I get it. You're a human being. You're a human being, right? So you have the right to have certain emotions and feelings as well. But you have to neutralize that as the adult. And you have to really look at the whole bigger picture and play the tape out. Understand what your child is going through, why she may feel the way that she feels or he feels the way he feels. And it's up to you to slowly find ways to regain that trust, repair that. Try to find common areas of interest. That's always a key area. You don't want to bribe your kids or nothing like that. You don't want to, act like you're overly guilty, because at the same time, you still have to be a parent. And some kids will take advantage of that. If you're going to just throw money at the problem, you're not solving anything. Because as soon as that money runs out, they're going to have those same feelings and issues. What I went through was I tried every different measure, And I eventually even snapped at one of my kids one time because I got so upset for the efforts I made. And that didn't go too well. But anyways, we're humans though. And so from my personal experience, you got to take it one day, one step at a time. And if you can take one step forward without taking a step backward, then you're gaining something within that relationship. You can't expect it to happen overnight, because all those years of ripping and running, making money, hustling, not being there for your kid, being up in the cell, it's them that were affected by that, not you. You chose to make those choices that took you away from them. So you can't get upset when they're not there just to accept you with open arms. You got to earn that respect back. You got to earn that trust. And you can't get offset just because they're not willing to embrace you. Now, some kids are going to be there the whole time. You know what I'm saying? Some wives are going to be there the whole time. And you got to expect that too, like from your ladies and wives and so forth. When you go away, they're affected by that too. They have human needs. They need that communication. They need that contact. They need that want. And too often or not, men in general, convicts, we take them women for granted. We take our lives for granted out there. Therefore, we can do what we feel we want to do when we get out or when we're in there. And we expect everybody to fall under our domain, and never consider other people's feelings. A convict is one of the most selfish individuals there is, because a lot of times we use excuses. Well, you don't know what I've been through or what I had to do and this and that. Boy, the whole time you're never thinking what you put that poor kid through or what you put that single mother through that you left abandoned out here on the streets. And so you should appreciate that any type of open dialogue or communication that they're having, appreciate it. Take advantage of it. It's okay to have emotions and feelings. You're only human. Don't suppress those, but try to neutralize it to where it doesn't become counterproductive. You know what I'm saying? Relationships can be built. It just takes time. And everybody is individual, is unique in their own different way. Your kids are going to be the same way. Your wife's going to be the same way. Your parents are going to be the same way. That's a common thing too, is that people get out, they build so much distrust within their family by their actions, ripping and running, committing crimes, that of course your family is going to have you on high alert status because they've seen this pattern continue. And I've seen that common from people who are actually addicts as well, who go out there trying to regain these relationships, whether they did time or was in the recovery house, is that they get their clean time or they come out of jail and they expect everything to be solved like that. It's not going to happen. That trust is going to take time for you to build, but only you can build that. No one else can do it for you. You get what I'm saying? And so this is the message in this spiel, is that restoring and repairing those relationships with our kids, our families, our ladies, our wives, our brothers, our sisters, always understanding that maybe you have to take a step back and understanding what they went through. As soon as you start taking inventory of yourself and realizing how you affected others by your actions, the more you can understand how others may feel. And therefore, you could try to find ways to bridge that gap. You know what I mean? Show by your actions, not by what you say, because people want to do this. They want to run up at the mouth that I'm going to do this and do that, yet they go back to their same old behaviors. And you can't get offset because things don't go the way that you want. And this is just going to any parent that, any parent or man or woman who has severe ties with their kids. This is going out to any man or woman who has severe ties with their families. These things exist. They occur. You know what I'm saying? It's not the end of the world. But instead of blaming everything else, look at yourself at what you did and find a way for you to repair it. You know what I mean? Sometimes that means you have to take a very, very impelling effort to hopefully show what your intentions are. Because people are going to honestly, they're going to take a step back. You know what I'm saying? Oh, druggie, gangster, whatever. Pattern in and out, did 10 years. They don't know where you're at. You have to prove that. Everything in life, you have to play your position and prove it to other people to show where you're at. And see, that's the common problem with people who suffer from things like, recidivism, going in and out, becoming institutionalized, or those that suffer from drugs and alcohol and so forth. And they finally get a little bit of clean time and sobriety, or they finally come home. They have all these goals and agendas, right? But they expect everybody to care to them and just life to go on as normal. No, you caused a whole bunch of issues. You put stumbling blocks in these relationships. It's not going to happen overnight. And if it does, if anybody's willing to forgive you fast, don't think that they don't have some reservations about some of the things that you did and that there isn't no doubt. You have to prove it in your actions. And so, the reason why I want to do this topic is I've seen a lot of people get out of prison or come out of recovery houses, and they expect these things to all be fixed overnight. And when it doesn't go their way, they fall back into old behaviors. Sometimes you have to endure the trials and tribulations to see the promises that you may see. The better relationships, the very, impactful ways of how you can change from being no relationship, conflict, issues, hate, distrust, and change that into a positive. It takes time, it takes effort, but it takes action. Don't just talk a good one. Go out there and show what you can possibly do. Find ways to reach common grounds, find common goals. Show that you're impeccable with your word, that when you say something, you do it. Don't build any type of distrust. And read, read some books, take some classes, I'm saying? Some parenting classes and so forth. Consider therapy. I mean, there's nothing that you should not be willing to do if it's going to repair those relationships with your family members. Because having family, having your kids in your life is a blessing. For anybody that has those currently kids in their life, they know exactly what I'm saying. And for those parents out there that are tuning into this channel that are suffering with relationships with their kids, man, that can be fixed, but it's up to you. Take some action. You know what I'm saying? Look at things from a whole different perspective that is outside of your personal feelings, and go get it. Do it. Be about it. Don't hesitate. I think this topic right here is very close to my heart. And see, like I said, this platform, I don't go one dimensional. I try to expand in different areas that I think that are relevant. I try to keep it entertaining. I touch on history, personal things, but there's always going to be a positive message in what we do. And the message in this is your actions are gonna feed what you establish within yourself to relate to your children. So go out there and do it, man. Whether it's your wife, your kids, your brother, your sister, be willing to make those amends and bridge that gap. Be willing to show by action, not just by words. With that said, little game, little laced up. I've had a lot of people that have instilled these values in me, and it's helped me. I mean, I've had times where I wanted to give up in certain things in my relationship, family, and so forth, and things not going my way, but I've stayed the course. And that's the biggest suggestion I can give any one of you out there is if you're going through trying to create change and be positive, I know it's difficult because we're comfortable in doing things that we're used to, but stay the course. Keep it going because the rewards that are given are just true blessings. With that said, it's your boy Flacco. I'm out.